I'll open up my Photoshop file where I did the alternative way of using object selection to separate the person from the background. And I'm just going to drag in that same Photoshop file into Photop. And you can see it's all still there. In this next part, we're going to create a value mask in order to make this character look like it's in 3D within After Effects. I'm going to duplicate this layer. So this way I'm not destroying information. I'm going to turn off my original mask. And I'll just call this one the grayscale layer. Next, I'm going to apply the layer mask to it. So let me right click and hit apply. Next, I'm going to be painting a grayscale value where white is closest to us and black or gray is further, take 4, and the darkest gray is further from the camera. I'm going to first use the magic wand tool by clicking this empty space. And if it's hard to see, you could turn on the background. And let me zoom in. You can see the marquees traveling around the character. I'm going to select this space as well by holding down the Shift key and adding to this magic wand selection. And also over here. Luckily, our character silhouette isn't that complex, so with 3 clicks, we got that selection. I'm going to inverse this selection. Select inverse. And let me turn off the background for a moment. Next, I'm going to just do a solid fill. And I'm going to be using darkest tone I'm going to go is this gray value. And click OK. I'll do Edit Fill. Foreground as the fill type and hit OK. And then I'll stop my selection by pressing Control D. So my goal is to paint anything that's closer to the camera, close to white, anything that's furthest from the camera, this gray. So I'm going to change this gray layer's opacity so I can see the background. I'll click on the foreground color swatch and select a slightly lighter gray. Using the brush tool, which is the B key, or you could click it here, increasing the brush size. I'm going to say anything around this hat layer here is a secondary gray. And I could come back doing the brim of the hat with a slightly lighter gray. So if this inside of the hat is here, then maybe around where the shoulder is also in the background at the same level. If I go over the line, I don't have to worry about this since I'm doing a foreground separate from the background. It's okay for this mask layer to leak over a little bit. So what other values might be here? Maybe over here. And occasionally I could change this back to 100% to see what we're doing. And then fade it down a little bit. This shoulder is closest to us, so maybe I'll jump to what's near white. And define the shoulder region. And we'll be using a Gaussian blur to blend in these extreme grayscale brush strokes. When you're all done, make a duplicate of this layer. So this way, in case there's a not so happy accident, you go back. Selecting that duplicate layer, go under Filter, Blur, and select Gaussian Blur. If you want to hide some of your imperfections, just increase the radius. And click on OK. Let me turn off the backgrounds. This is the luminosity layer. that will be used for the displacement map in After Effects. So before I save this out, I'm going to turn on the background layer. And the reason why, some of this fuzziness carves into our value map. So by turning on that background layer, not only do we have a way to quickly go back in case we didn't like the results, but it also fills in that missing information. With this background layer turned back on, export, file, export as, and save as a PNG. And then make sure to save the Photoshop file, and we're ready for After Effects.